So as I mentioned, the linear analysis we're going to be performing is known as two-variable regression analysis. And as we see here on page 44, this is a statistical approach based on historical consumption and factors of influence. All right. So we're going to learn how to do this three ways. One, using a handheld calculator. Two, using an online calculator. And finally, we'll be using a spreadsheet, specifically Microsoft Excel. So this is a picture of the calculator that I've used quite a bit in my electrical classes. It's my favorite calculator, the Ch1-3, very powerful calculator. However, in searching for information on this, I realized that this calculator does not perform the regression analysis. So I've got a web page shown here on the screen that I will put a link for on our website under week 2 content, and this is an information sheet on how to use the Ch1-3. And as I was reading through this, it tells me that the Ch1-3 does not do regression. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to use this calculator, but it's still a pretty powerful calculator. Maybe you have one, and I would like to point out that here at the bottom there is a sample problem set that will help you to determine, it'll follow you through this page and the worked out examples, and it'll give you a good feeling for how you can use this calculator. So that's the Ch1-3. So another calculator that I mentioned that could be handy is this one here. And this is the Ch1-3x2s. Now this calculator is just a little bit more. You can get it for about $15, $16. And there's an excellent YouTube video available right here on this page. Bear with me. All right. So I want to encourage you to watch this page because you're going to have to do some homework based on how to manipulate and how to use a calculator like this if you have one like this. Now, before we get into crunching buttons, I want to talk a little bit more about what we're trying to do. So on page 45 of your textbook, you'll see table 1-6, which is a sample energy data for a school. And so we've got 12 months worth of heating degree days and the amount of electricity that was used. Below this, we have a scatter chart which plots the amount of heating degree days in the x-axis and the kilowatt hours on the y-axis. Also known are the slope of the plot, that's this number here, 124.54, and also the intercept. The intercept is this number here. Okay? That intercept number would be, if we follow this black line, this trend line, all the way down to the left, where it intersects or intercepts the vertical line, which in this case is the electricity, it tells us then how many kilowatt hours of electricity would be used if what? Well, if there were no heating degree days required, meaning the weather was perfect. We didn't have to heat it. We didn't have to cool it. Okay? So this number is going to be important for us. This first number we talked about was this 124.54. That number is a multiplier for every heating degree day above the intercept. So if we knew how many heating degree days there were for a particular month or for a particular year, we could multiply that times the 124.54 kilowatt hours, add that to the no load intercept value of 9,206, and that would tell you how much energy we should use. How confident are we of that? Well, that's what this number is about. This last number, R squared. R squared is actually a percentage. So this 0.9848 is about 98.5% confident that based on the heating degree days, that's the amount of electricity that we'll use. All right, hopefully you've watched the YouTube video that shows you how this works on the Ti-32S. So I'm not going to run through that with you. Hopefully, if you have that calculator, you'll be able to watch the video, follow along, and come up with the same values that we find in the book. Remember to clear out the statistics data and then enter the heating degree days from the chart right here in as variable 1 or 1 var, and the kilowatt hours in the portion of the calculator labeled as 2 var. Once the data is entered for all the 12 months, you'll press the stat var and the number crunching will begin. It'll give us a lot of information, actually about 15 different fields of information, of which we'll need the first one, which is n. N equals 12. That's the number of pairs of data. So one for each month that we put in here. And the last 3 data fields that we're going to need, you have to keep scrolling over to the right. A will be the slope of 124.54. B will be the intercept of 9,207.67, which gets rounded up in the text. And then lastly is a number R, 0.9923. Now, in our example here, we're looking for R squared. So this 9923, if that's on your calculator now, if you press the squared key, x raised to the second power, that will change the 0.9923 into the 0.9848. So the calculator gives us the information we need. It doesn't give us this scatter chart, which would be cool if it would, but it does give us the math that we could use to make that. Now the next tool that we're going to use is an online calculator. So I'm going to go back to the internet